Here's something nobody wants to admit out loud. There are people earning $75,000 a year who feel more broke, more stressed, and more financially stuck than people earning $40,000. And no, it's not because they're bad with money. It's not because they buy too much avocado toast. It's because of something the financial system does on purpose that almost nobody bothers to explain to you. You've probably heard the warning. Careful, a raise might bump you into a higher tax bracket and you'll actually take home less. That specific thing? It's a myth. That is not how tax brackets work. But the feeling behind it, that earning more can somehow leave you worse off, that part is absolutely real. It's just real for completely different reasons than people think. In this video, I'm going to show you the actual machinery. The brackets. The benefit cliffs. The shadow tax nobody printed on your pay stub. And by the end, you'll understand exactly why the jump from $40,000 to $75,000 can feel less like a promotion and more like running on a treadmill that someone keeps speeding up. My name is Jenna, and I spend way too much time obsessing over the hidden machinery of money. The stuff that happens in the gap between what you earn and what you actually get to keep. The phaseouts, the cliffs, the thresholds nobody warns you about until you've already crossed them. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up so the algorithm shows you the next one. Because if you've ever gotten a raise and somehow felt purr afterward, this is the video that finally explains why. Now, before we dive into the 5 reasons $75,000 can feel harder than $40,000, you need to understand one thing about how the American financial system is actually built. It's built in layers. And every layer has a doorway. And every doorway has a threshold. Earn under this number, you qualify for help. Earn $1 over it, the help disappears. Earn under this number, you're in one tax bracket. Earn over it, the next slice gets taxed higher. Earn under this number, your student loan payment is small. Earn over it, it jumps. Now here's the part that matters. These thresholds were never designed to line up with each other. The tax code was written by one set of people. The healthcare subsidies by another. The food assistance, the childcare credits, the student loan formulas, the retirement savers credit, all written separately, at different times, by different agencies, with completely different cutoffs. So when your income rises, you don't cross one clean line. You cross a dozen messy ones. Some of them at the very same time. And right in the messy middle of all those overlapping thresholds sits a very specific income range. Roughly $40,000 to about $90,000 for a single person. The range where you're too rich for help and too poor to feel rich. Economists actually have a name for the people stuck there. The phantom middle class. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why they feel like ghosts in their own budget. So that's the setup. Now let's get into the 5 reasons. Reason number 1. The tax brackets. But not in the way you've been told. Let me kill the myth first, because it drives me crazy. In 2026, the federal tax brackets for a single filer look like this. 10% on your first $12,400. 12% up to about $50,400. Then 22% on income above that, up to $105,000. Here's what people get wrong. When you cross from the 12% bracket into the 22% bracket, only the dollars above the line get taxed at 22%. Not all of your income. Your first $50,000 is still taxed at the lower rates. Always. You can never take home less money just by earning more from brackets alone. That part is a myth. Burn it out of your brain right now. But here's the real story. When you go from $40,000 to $75,000, that extra $35,000 gets taxed at 12%, then 22%. Then add Social Security and Medicare. That's another 7.65%. Then add state income tax, which in most states runs around 5%. So on those new dollars, you're keeping maybe 65 cents on the dollar. The raise is real. But it lands smaller than the headline number. Every single time. That alone wouldn't make 75 feel harder than 40. The brackets are actually pretty gentle. It's what comes next that does the real damage. Reason number 2. The shadow tax. This is the big one. This is the reason that actually explains the entire video. Here's what nobody tells you. As your income rises, you don't just pay more in taxes. You also lose benefits. And losing a benefit feels exactly like paying a tax, except it never shows up anywhere on your pay stub. It's invisible. Silent. A shadow. Watch this. At $40,000, a single person buying their own health insurance in 2026 might qualify for an ACA premium subsidy. The government caps what you pay for a benchmark health plan as a percentage of your income. But in 2026, the enhanced subsidies expired, and the old 400% of poverty cliff came roaring back. For a single person, that cliff sits right around $62,600. Earn $1 over that line, and in many cases, you lose the entire subsidy. Not reduced. Gone. People in that exact zone are watching their health insurance jump from $200 a month to $600, $700, $800 a month. Just from crossing one invisible line. Economists measure this with something called the effective marginal tax rate. It's the real percentage of each new dollar you lose to taxes and benefit reductions combined. For middle earners crossing these cliffs, research from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation puts that rate between 17 and 65%. And at the very worst cliffs, where childcare and healthcare subsidies vanish together, it can briefly exceed 100%. Let that sink in. Over 100%. Meaning you earn an extra $1,000 and you end up with less money than before you got the raise. That's the shadow tax. It's why a $35,000 raise can feel like a $5,000 raise. The other $30,000 evaporated into taxes you can see and benefits you can't. Reason number 3. The phase-out maze. Because it isn't just health insurance. As you climb from $40,000 to $75,000, you start losing access to a whole stack of things, one at a time. The earned income tax credit phases out. The saver's credit for retirement contributions phases out. Student loan interest deductions begin to shrink. If you're on an income-driven student loan plan, your monthly payment gets recalculated up. If you have kids, childcare assistance and reduced-price school programs start disappearing. Each one on its own is small. A few $100s here. A recalculated payment there. But they don't happen one at a time in a tidy, spaced-out line. They stack. They overlap. They all phase out across roughly the same income band. That same $40,000 to $90,000 zone. So the person at $75,000 isn't just paying a bit more tax. They've quietly lost the earned income credit, the saver's credit, part of their student loan benefits, and their entire healthcare subsidy. All at once. All invisible. And nobody ever handed them a statement that said, "Here is everything you no longer qualify for." The $40,000 earner keeps all of it. The $75,000 earner keeps almost none of it. And that gap, the benefits gap, is far bigger than the tax gap. It's the part nobody ever puts in the budgeting videos. Reason number 4. And this is the one we do to ourselves. Lifestyle inflation. Here's how it works. At $40,000, you've built a life that fits $40,000. A modest apartment. A used car that's finally paid off. You cook at home, mostly because you have to. Your expectations are calibrated to your income. Then the raise comes. $75,000. And almost nobody keeps living the $40,000 life. You move to the nicer apartment. You finally get the newer car, except now there's a payment. You eat out more, because hey, you earned it, right? You upgrade the phone. The streaming bundle. The vacations. The dangerous part is how fast the new lifestyle becomes the new baseline. Within a year, the $75,000 lifestyle doesn't feel like luxury anymore. It feels normal. It feels like the bare minimum. And now you are stressed about money at $75,000 in exactly the same way you were stressed at 40. Except now the stakes are higher and the payments are bigger. This is the cruelest trick of all. Because lifestyle inflation makes the raise disappear faster than the taxes and the cliffs combined. You didn't actually get poorer. You bought a more expensive version of the exact same financial anxiety. Reason number 5 is really the solution. So, let me give you the actual moves. The ones that change the outcome. Move 1. Know your cliffs before you cross them. Before you accept a raise, a bonus, or a side gig, find out which thresholds you're sitting near. The big one for a single person in 2026 is that 400% of poverty health insurance cliff, around $62,600. You can model this in advance. The Atlanta Federal Reserve actually built a free benefits cliff calculator for exactly this purpose. Move 2. When a raise threatens to push you past a benefit cliff, use the tax code to step back below it. Contribute more to your traditional 401k or to an HSA. Every dollar you put into a pre-tax account lowers the income the government counts against you. You can sometimes duck right back under a cliff, keep the subsidy, and build retirement wealth, all with the same dollars. That's the move that rich people's accountants make for them automatically. Now you know it too. Move 3. Freeze your lifestyle for 1 full year after any raise. Bank the entire increase. Live on your old number for 12 more months. Let the raise pile up in an index fund before your spending ever even notices it arrived. Move 4. Shift your entire focus from income to assets. Because here's what the whole system is quietly telling you. It taxes income hard. It phases out benefits based on income. But it barely touches wealth that's just sitting there, growing. Which brings me to the bigger lesson. Let me zoom out for a second. Because once you see this pattern, you genuinely cannot unsee it. The American financial system is designed to squeeze income and reward ownership. Think about it. Your paycheck gets taxed before you ever even touch it. Then it triggers benefit phaseouts. Then inflation quietly eats whatever's left. Income is the most heavily punished way to build wealth that exists. But assets? A house that appreciates? An index fund that compounds year after year? Those grow quietly, taxed lightly, and only when you choose to sell. The wealthy figured this out generations ago. That's why they obsess over owning things, not over earning a bigger salary. A salary is a treadmill. An asset is an escalator. Here's the math that proves it. Take that $35,000 raise, going from 40 to 75. After taxes and lost benefits, let's say you actually keep 18,000 of it. If you spend that on lifestyle, it is gone. Every year. Forever. But if you invest just 12,000 of it per year in a low-cost index fund earning the historical 8% average return, after 30 years that becomes roughly $1.4 million. Same raise. 2 completely different lives. One person rented a nicer lifestyle. The other person bought their freedom. The income was identical. The decision was everything. This is the real gap between the wealthy and everyone else. It was never just about how much you make. Rich people convert income into assets as fast as humanly possible. Regular people convert income into lifestyle as fast as humanly possible. The system rewards the first group and quietly squeezes the second. The information gap is the wealth gap. Let me paint you a picture of what beating this actually feels like. It feels like getting a raise and feeling almost nothing change in your daily life because you froze your lifestyle on purpose and then watching your investment account quietly swell instead. It feels like opening your health insurance renewal letter and not panicking because you contributed just enough to your 401k to duck back under the cliff on purpose. It feels like a friend complaining that their big promotion wasn't even worth it and you quietly knowing exactly why and exactly how they could fix it. It feels like checking your net worth at the end of the year and seeing it climb by $20,000, even though your paycheck barely moved at all. It feels like sitting in your same old apartment with your same old paid-off car, feeling genuinely calm, while the number that actually matters grows in the background. It feels like realizing the treadmill was never your only option. There was an escalator the whole time, standing right next to it. Nobody ever just pointed at it. And that mindset shift, honestly, from earning more to owning more, is worth more than any single raise ever could be. So, there you have it. Why 75,000 can feel harder than 40, and the 5 things that actually explain it. 1. The brackets are gentle, and the higher bracket means less money thing is a myth. Only the top slice ever gets taxed more. 2. The shadow tax is real. Lost benefits feel exactly like taxes, and they never once show up on your pay stub. 3. The phase-out stack. You lose a dozen small benefits across the same narrow income band, all at once, all invisible. 4. Lifestyle inflation does the rest. It makes the raise vanish faster than the government ever could. 5. The way out. Know your cliffs, Use pre-tax accounts to step back under them, freeze your lifestyle, and convert income into assets as fast as you possibly can. Hit subscribe so the algorithm shows you the next one. We're going to keep pulling back the curtain on this stuff together, week after week. Your future self is going to thank you for the decision you make today.